The Diamondbacks have traded away one of our favorite players, infielder, outfielder, and all-around swell guy, Blaze Alexander. Welcome into another edition of the PHNX Dbacks podcast, live from Studio K, presented by our friends at Circle K. It is I, your mayor of PHNX, occasionally known as Derek Montia. If Damon Dog would let me talk at times, I guess. I got Damon Dog on the ones and twos. He's fed up.
Shut up, Derek.
He's fed up with hearing about anything to do with any of us hosts around here with all the producing he's been doing this week. But love you guys. Welcome into another edition of the PHNX Diamondback Show. Glad to have you guys here. Not thrilled to be talking about the news that we are going to discuss this morning with Blaze Alexander being traded to the Baltimore Orioles, but it's happened. It's real. It's reality. As much as we hate it, one of our favorite players, especially around this podcast, has been traded. And of course, we have to take a look here at the return and see if the Diamondbacks got any better. I will say that though before we get into this, obviously you guys know how we feel about Blaze here. There's nothing more I could say about what a great person Blaze is, and what a good player he was for this team. He was asked to do several different things. He did whatever was asked of him, and he kind of did it really well, especially defensively, whether it was third base, whether it was the outfield, or whether it was to participate in our shenanigans and kidnap our pet snake here, right? But I will say that there was a question about where Blaze was going to play this year. We've been discussing it quite a bit. There's also questions about where Jordan Lawler is going to play this year. We do know that the Diamondbacks need an outfielder still. We don't know if this still means that additional moves could be made by the front office before we head into the, start of spring training. We got pitchers and catchers reporting next Tuesday. So we really don't have a lot of time here for this team to fill in potentially some roles there for the outfield, right? There is an opportunity for young guys to come in and play, but that opportunity was probably there regardless of if Blaze was still a part of this team or not. I think Blaze was going to have a problem getting playing time when the Diamondbacks made the trade for Nolan Arenado. I think that solidified that Arenado was going to be over there at third base defensively for the majority of the year. Obviously, Lawler and Blaze could have factored in there as third baseman as well, but he was going to see the majority of the playing time, which just makes it that much harder to find a place for both of these young players to get playing time. I will say, just in regards to this trade, before we get into it, that a lot of people immediately started discussing, much like the Jake McCarthy, Alec Thomas situation, the idea of trading Jordan Lawler over Blaze Alexander. And this is no disrespect to either one of these guys, but I would say that, Blaze kind of had himself a nice start to the season, but he came back down to earth offensively. I still blame quite a bit of that potentially on just the fact that he was asked to do quite a bit, both playing, third base and the outfield. And I think at one point he just really started to press, and he wanted to deliver in a similar manner offensively that he did earlier on, and that didn't seem to happen for him as he struggled late in the season. Lawler did come around and have a much better end of the year offensively. It felt like Lawler was building up, even though there's definitely not enough there to, assume that he is going to come around and be that next year. It just would feel like in this case that perhaps at this point Blaze had a little bit more value and was able to get the return he did versus what teams might have been offering for Jordan Lawler. Also, the franchise just might have been committed to Jordan Lawler a bit more based on how high of a prospect, how high of a draft pick he was for this team, and how much they want it to work out, right?
I think it has a lot more to do with selling low on a guy like Jordan Lawler.
Correct.
Where they probably could have gotten more for Jordan Lawler in the past. So now Mike Hazen's probably sitting there and saying it's not smart to trade Jordan Lawler right now. Whereas Blaze Alexander might be the highest his value has ever been after the way he ended the season last season.
It could be. Jordan Lawler definitely feels like he has far more potential to reach, whereas Blaze was doing things that were extraordinary. I mean, Blaze was a human highlight reel at times for this team. Meanwhile, the Diamondbacks get back from the Baltimore Orioles. One of the things that they have needed desperately this offseason, which is young, controllable pitching for their bullpen. And they get back relief pitcher Kade Strowd. Kade Strowd is a right-handed pitcher, a reliever that honestly had himself an incredible debut last year for the Baltimore Orioles. He posted a 1.71 ERA in over 26 and a third innings pitch there. 26 and a third innings pitch. He had a baseball reference WAR of 0.2 in a very small amount of time. He had a 3.40 FIP and a 1.10 WHIP. And I mean, again, he also comes along with two prospects as well. The Diamondbacks get 21-year-old righty Wellington Aracena, which is a right-handed pitcher. Again, another guy that has strong minor league numbers and upside as a future starter or potential reliever for this team. And they also get infielder Jose Mejia, a 20-year-old infielder with strong offensive production there in rookie ball this year. So the Diamondbacks kind of achieved their goal here of adding more to their bullpen while also adding an arm. And they lose a guy who was the super versatile utility player who can play multiple infield positions, outfield. He batted .230 or /230, 323, 383 with 7 home runs and 28 RBI over 74 games in 2025. To be honest, it felt like Blaze played far better than those numbers indicate. And that could be why, as Damon said, this is the time for the Diamondbacks to sell on Blaze. The Baltimore Orioles got themselves a real one, and I know Blaze is going to be a star, but again, when you take a look at the needs for this team and where they have a surplus, it's young third basemen, right? And young infielders. And unfortunately, what teams want is major league ready talent and not necessarily a prospect. Perhaps the Diamondbacks saw Blaze going a little bit in the direction of Jake McCarthy, who at times was incredible for this team and, a rookie of the year candidate, and then also really struggled offensively, especially lately. So this absolutely could be that. For Baltimore, they're going to get themselves a backup utility piece with defensive flexibility, speed, right? He's like in the 90th percentile for speed. And again, that multiple position eligibility, that really is something that can help a team like that that's trying to win now and kind of needs a flexible player like Blaze Alexander. But according to Mike Hazen, the Diamondbacks needed bullpen help more than a bench bat, and especially that goes double after trading for Nolan Arenado. They saw Alexander's role tighten with Arenado's arrival and other infield pieces, and he felt that Stroud could compete immediately for bullpen innings and fill a clear roster gap, which they have right now. So what are the Diamondbacks getting in Kade Strowd? I think this, again, is a small sample size from last year, but if we take a look at his Baseball Savant page, hopefully this gets you a little excited. Again, he's not qualified due to not meeting the minimum number of innings pitched. However, that's a lot of red, Damon. That's a lot of red.
It is a lot of red.
And I don't hate that.
I mean, that looks like our best bullpen arm.
It looks like our best pitcher on our team, period.
Yeah.
Is what it looks like, right?
It does.
He went to West Virginia University for college, where he pitched mostly as a starter before he turned pro. He was drafted in the 12th round by the Baltimore Orioles in the 2019 MLB draft. So he has been a guy that's been in their minor league system for a very long time. He spent several seasons climbing through Baltimore's system from low A to triple A, and he's just had mixed results along the way. But again, this is a guy who is now putting it together and has proven, at least in the small sample size from last season, that he really has figured some things out, especially when it comes to his fastball. Looking at his numbers over the seasons, his numbers are not great in the minor league system, right? So that's one reason why it might give you pause. There is not exactly a proven track record there for him for his success. He had an ERA in the mid-5s at times, 4s, Even in high A, had himself an 8.05 in 21 games. So again, this is a guy that has struggled throughout his minor league career, but again, the reason why guys are in the system, the reason why you draft guys and develop them is to get them to the point where they get through these struggles and figure out a way to be effective, and most importantly, to figure out a way to get out. And that seems to be what Kade Strowd can do. Again, he's not going to factor in immediately in like high leverage situations or anything like that, but those numbers would suggest to you that Stroud has been impressive with strong run prevention and solid strikeout numbers so far in his rookie year. And the Diamondbacks get a young reliever with options who might play a middle to late relief role, or even maybe look to get into more high leverage spots as the season progresses. But again, this is a move to make the Diamondbacks better for the future, and specifically better for 2026. Unfortunately, it comes as a sacrifice to one of our favorite players, an absolute fan favorite on this team, a guy who so many people wanted to see continue to develop, and a guy who many of us believe this guy right here is going to go on to be a superstar in Major League Baseball. Right? I think that he's going to have to go earn playing time in Baltimore, and it's going to perhaps be even more difficult for him to find opportunities there than he would have with this Diamondbacks team. But you got to wonder if this is a huge mistake by the Diamondbacks. They lose a versatile everyday contributor who was really growing as a major league player. He was far more than just a bench bat or a bench player or a super utility player. He became the primary third baseman for the Diamondbacks after they moved Geno Suarez last year, and he hit well enough to be seen as a breakout piece on this team. Not to mention, as I said earlier, he couldn't stop making highlight reel plays. So there is that when it comes to what he was doing for this team. But he becomes a premium asset here for Baltimore based on the flexibility that he showed last year. I don't think that they need his bat as much as they need him to, be that defender and be that utility guy that can come in off the bench. But if Alexander blossoms into a regular MLB starter with the Orioles, that will mean he has deserved it. He has earned it. And it could end up looking like they traded what would have been potentially another piece of their core for a relief pitcher and some prospects, right? But
yeah, I mean, if Blaze carves out a role in the middle infield, for example, with Jackson Holiday and Gunnar Henderson already on the Orioles,
good freaking luck.
Then that means that we made a big mistake.
We made a huge mistake.
But that's probably not going to be the case. I think that in someone set it up here, and we all love Blaze, but it was Robert. Like, a 3-for-1 trade for a guy who was maybe your super utility might be a steal.
Yeah, I don't hate it because, again,
you just need one of these pitchers to essentially be a guy.
Right.
And I honestly, I think that and I'm forgetting is like Aracena or whatever, the younger pitcher that we got in this trade.
Yeah.
Throws about 100 miles per hour. Like that
I
guy has
Aracena.
Aracena. Yeah, he has a very good profile for a potential like high profile arm. I mean, I'm not saying that he's going to turn out to be anything. His stats are kind of similar to Kade Strowd in the way that you were talking about it, where it's like you're not going to be overly impressed looking at his numbers just year by year by year. But his last season, he showed some flashes of being a really high level pitcher, and he has the high upside that you would like in an arm like that. So hopefully Kade Strowd, like if one of those guys works out, if both of them work out, then this feels like a big W. But it's also just sad to see a vibes guy like Blaze walk out the door when you feel like this team is, it's the power of friendship. It's the vibes team, and Blaze fits so perfectly into that. So it's sad to see that guy go.
Oh my God, nothing brought me more joy, even though it came at the expense of him needing to hold my son hostage, than seeing Blaze pop some Sour Patch Kids from the bag we had to give him as ransom into his mouth before he did an interview with the press, just so he could have a little bit of sugar, a little bit of pep in his interview. That made me proud. In fact, Damon, I mean, we have to address this because we have been getting some weird accusations thrown my way, and that is that people somehow feel like I was involved or I approved of this trade based on Blaze's kidnapping of Jesse Jr. And I just want everybody to know one thing. don't ever come between me and my son ever again. There will be ramifications for it. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm throwing out there. Do we have the video, by the way, the ransom video? For those of you that might not have seen it, when our snake went missing upon our move, we did find out that it wasn't just a coincidence, that there was tomfoolery and shenanigans involved, and that Blaze Alexander was a part of it. This is what he sent us.
Hey, what's up, bro? Hey, I had Jesse Jr. with me. If you ever want to see him again, you got to dye your beard teal and give me some Sour Patch Kids.
He also told me that my dyed beard was a look and that I needed to keep it. I don't know. This man might be a criminal, and we might have gotten away with a good trade here.
Derek hates the beard now.
Oh yeah, no, I'm never. I don't know if the beard's ever coming back. We might just be playoff stashes all the time on this program. But we didn't bring up also that once again, Aracena's first name is Wellington, so we got another beef Wellington as well on this team. And Kade Strowd, again, he is the exact pitcher that the Diamondbacks have been seeking. He is the exact kind of relief arm that the Diamondbacks needed for their bullpen. Is he proven? No, that's definitely not the case. But I will say that it feels like between the two prospects that we got and Kade Strowd, at least his performance at a major league level last year, that you feel pretty good about this, right? Stroud's numbers, again, very limited sample size, even if they look strong on paper. But his peripherals suggest he might not be as dominant as his ERA indicate, meaning there's some risk there that he doesn't replicate last year's performance. I wouldn't expect him to. That's a pretty high standard that he set there, putting up a 1.71 ERA. But again, this is more about the fact that the Diamondbacks were getting to a point with the acquisition of Nolan Arenado that they weren't going to have potentially a position for Blaze Alexander to play. Perhaps there's even another move to add an outfielder to this team that was going to push Blaze further away from getting playing time, getting at bats. So that might be what's coming still. Or, again, they might just feel like they have a better option. Mike Hazen did say that they were going to allow these minor league players like Ryan Waldschmidt and other young outfielders to have a shot in spring training to not only make the 40-man roster, but to earn a starting role. So that's out there. You also have the fact that Lourdes Gurriel Jr. and Lindsey Vaughn seem to be training at the same facility to repair ACLs. Because I don't know if you've seen these two superhumans, but Lindsey Vaughn, meanwhile, tore her ACL, and 3 days later, with titanium in one knee and a torn ACL in the other, is going to compete in the Olympics. And Lourdes Gurriel is going to be ready by opening day, according to his Instagram. So
what the hell is going on?
I don't know what's going on with ACL injuries anymore. But again, this trade could be a mistake for the Dbacks if Blaze does become a productive everyday contributor for Baltimore, which is going to be difficult. Meanwhile, this trade doesn't pan out if Stroud doesn't turn into a reliable bullpen arm, which seems doubtful. However, the track record is there to question if he's going to be able to replicate last year's performance. And you also have these prospects not developing. But overall, right now for the Diamondbacks, it's hard to say that this trade is an L. It does make sense on paper. It addresses a bullpen need. But the longer-term value and opportunity cost here of getting rid of a guy like Blaze Alexander may change this trade in the future. Like Damon said, if you somehow find a way to earn opportunities in that particular infield, then there's a good chance that Blaze is playing out of his mind. Also, it's not just the infield, right, Damon? I mean, Blaze has proved that he can play the outfield considerably well, and again, is going to be able to make Baltimore a deeper, better team. That team is going for it all now, even though the Diamondbacks kind of have a lot riding on 2026. They're definitely not in the same position as far as building is concerned for the 2026 season. But I will say this:
as the Orioles.
The Orioles?
You think the Orioles are above the Diamondbacks in that regard?
I would say so. I think that they made some aggressive moves this offseason because they're in a division that is as tough as the NL West. Maybe not as tough.
It's as tough. I think those are the two divisions that are the two most difficult divisions in the league.
Yeah.
With what's interesting is the NL East has gotten really, really pretty brutal as well. If you look at Phillies, Mets, Braves, and then even the Marlins are not really the disaster that they used to be. So that's a tough one. The Nationals, you feel bad for them. They're like the Rockies of that division. But I think the Orioles and Dbacks are in a pretty similar spot. I think that they made a little bit more aggressive moves this offseason, but
it remains to be seen if it works out, right?
Partially that's because the Diamondbacks' best players are already under contract. Ketel Marte, Corbin Carroll, Geraldo Perdomo are already signed and signed to extensions that make it where we have to find players that are more on the peripheral to kind of fit around these guys, because the Orioles maybe have a little bit more players that are on arbitration contracts, like or just are on service time contracts, like Jackson Holiday or Gunnar Henderson, who haven't signed their extensions yet. So yeah, I mean, I just think that maybe they had more money to play with than we did, but generally in terms of caliber of team, we're looking at pretty similar calibers of team here.
I think the difference here is that they are building on their core right now, which the Diamondbacks probably aren't at that point right now. I mean, in fact, you could argue that based on what Ken Kendrick said at the end of last year, about reducing the payroll, that sounded a bit like they don't believe in adding to this core at this time. Like, I think that's the only difference. We've talked about that. You got to establish what your team is, who your team is, the identity, and then you go out, you add a Pete Alonso, you add some of those other names that are going to make you a better team. But yeah, definitely, I would say that, they still have a very tough battle in a very difficult division, as do we. Yeah. And you could argue at least that we might be a little bit closer to the top of our division than they are. So there's that. But we're going to try to figure out where all of these guys fit into this bullpen. Believe it or not, as much as we've been talking about the Diamondbacks not addressing their bullpen, there's a good chance that this entire relief core could be completely different in 2026.
Yeah.
We're going to figure out who stays and who goes on the other side of this break. Don't you guys go anywhere. You're watching the PHNX Diamondback Show. Well, this big sports time of the year has started, kicking off with the WM Phoenix Open. But of course, right around the corner, Phoenix Raceway is looking to make history for the first time in history. We have NASCAR and NTT IndyCar Series racing on the same track during the same weekend, and you'll want to say you were there for it. It's the kind of energy you really have to feel in person to understand. And of course, this is once again a big weekend for Phoenix Raceway. If you want the best access in motorsports, you can get it with the Desert Diamond Casino Infield experience, where you can go inside the track, meet the drivers, take pictures with the cars, and catch the pre-race concert. There's so much fun to be had, so many ticket options available, as well as camping options. And of course, this big weekend is making history with NASCAR and NTT IndyCar Series sharing the same track on the very same day, and you'll want to be able to say you were there. You can catch the 2025 Cup Series champion Kyle Larson making his return to the same track where he won his championship. And again, not to be missed out on all this action, NASCAR and NTT IndyCar Series weekend at Phoenix Raceway happening March 5th through March 8th. Secure your seats now at the link in our description. And of course, now is a great time for you to get out there and get some projects done. I know I have to get all of my projects done before baseball season starts, and the Window Depot is helping me do that. They do have windows, but they have way more than that. They have doors, they have skylights, they have cabinets, they have countertops, sinks, whatever you're looking for to get your project accomplished. And of course, they have it for less, and they have it in greater quantities. It's the reason why contractors love the Window Depot. They have job site ready quantities, and they also do not require a membership for contractors or for us regular people. So of course, stop by the Contractor's Secret at the Window Depot, where you will save more. They have 7 locations across Arizona, with windows proudly manufactured in Tucson, Arizona. They got locations in Phoenix, Tucson, Marana, and Chandler. You can shop online and pick up in store. And most importantly, you can have a little bit of help with your project. Their in-house designers are there to help you plan your space at no extra cost. From cabinets to countertops, they make it simple. The Window Depot, more than just a window store. Visit thewindowdepot.com and get started on your next project right now. Apparently, I'm going to get crucified by the people down south. It's Marana, or whatever I said. But
by my mom specifically.
Yeah, the Damon's mom is going to come for me. Please don't let Dennis.
That's the town of Marana to you son of a...
Please don't have your parents come for me. But we have some things to figure out. Actually, the Diamondbacks do. Luckily, we are not in charge of that organization, because we would have ran it into the ground by now. But we do have some things to talk about when it comes to the bullpen, because Kade Strowd now makes another addition to this pen that we have been talking about this offseason, not really having additions to. Yet here we stand looking at the changes the Diamondbacks made, the trades they made, the free agents they've acquired, and there is a lot going on here when it comes to the bullpen. If you want to factor in what typically teams do. Teams typically carry 7 to 8 relief pitchers throughout the season. And obviously, this is going to be an ever-changing roster for the Dbacks as the season progresses. There's no way that this bullpen starts out with a certain number of guys and then ends that same way. We know we're going to have the return of Justin Martinez and AJ Puck, which could either add some relief to this pen or could further complicate things if guys are pitching well. But as it stands right now, you have to kind of factor in that this move to trade Blaze Alexander for Kade Strowd means Kade Strowd is in the bullpen, right? None of these are guaranteed. We're going to talk about names that we think are in and which guys we think are on the fringe and which guys could factor in here, right? But even the guys that we think are in, Damon, might not actually be in. There's a good chance that a lot of these names that we discuss still have to, everybody still has to perform. There's no given role to any one relief pitcher on this team because nobody has solidified themselves as that. You could say that Andrew Saalfrank had himself an incredible 2025, was the shining bright spot in a very dark relief core. So I would say that Andrew Saalfrank, again, is probably in based on his sub-2 ERA from last year, right? Safe to say that. Could also say that Kevin Ginkel and Ryan Thompson, based on their years with this team and their 2025, probably safe to say that they're in, even though, again, nothing is for sure, right? Kevin Ginkel at times has pitched poorly enough that I could see, him potentially not landing in the bullpen. And of course, there's always questions about Ryan Thompson, right? Ryan Thompson has been fairly consistent for this team, but he struggled as well in 2025. Then the Diamondbacks acquired Taylor Clark, who did have a very good season with the Royals last year, but still, again, not numbers that are going to necessarily blow you away. However, again, much like Kade Strowd, is it wrong to assume that Taylor Clark is going to end up in the bullpen, Damon? Or do you think that even though they went out and added him through free agency, the major league roster, that they are still looking at him as a potential addition?
I think that any time that you sign a guy to a contract as little as $1.55 million, that's fair. You're not necessarily being like, this dude is 100% going to be a staple of this bullpen next season. Like, he's making next to nothing. No, really nobody is. I think, as we outlined, like, the only two people I think that you can feel extremely confident in are going to make the opening day bullpen are Kevin Ginkel and Ryan Thompson, because despite, maybe some, drop off in performance in the last year, 2 years, I think that this organization has proven that they're going to let those guys at least go out there and prove that they don't belong versus having to prove that they do, because they have proven that in the past.
That's fair.
But this is a loyalty built kind of organization. So I think those guys might be safe. I think Kade Strowd, because of what you just traded for him and how he performed last year, is pretty much a shoo-in. And other than that, I think it's a group of 10 dudes who are competing for the remainder of the spots. And I would say Taylor Clark, even though he had a great season last year for the Royals, that's not necessarily been the case for his entire career. He's shown inconsistency.
For sure.
It's not like he was absolutely electric when he was on the Diamondbacks in the past. So yeah, I think he'll probably make it, but I just am saying that I don't think that it's set in stone that Taylor Clark's on the roster.
Yeah. And this is more of, like I said, more of an opening day roster and less of how it's going to evolve throughout the season. There's a good chance that young arms that get an opportunity can definitely outperform some of those guys that get a spot. And like we said, the Diamondbacks, they're loyal, yes, but they've proven, at least they proved last year, that they're not giving guys as long of a leash as they have in the past. So like you said, if those guys do get an opening day roster spot in the bullpen and then don't perform, there's a good chance that they could be yanked far sooner than we would have seen in the past. But one of the reasons why that is because outside of those 5, let's just say that those 5 are in, right? Those 5 would be Kade Strowd, Andrew Saalfrank, Ryan Thompson, Taylor Clark, for argument's sake, and Kevin Ginkel. I don't feel like the Diamondbacks would have added Taylor Clark to the major league roster like they did if they didn't intend for him to be a part of the bullpen.
Well, and I think a differentiator there, and unless I'm wrong, I don't think he signed a minor league deal.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
so there were 4 guys that they signed to minor league deals. Might have been more. I might have even missed some of the deals.
One of them.
Yeah, you got Jonathan Loaizaga, you got Sean Dubin, you got Junior Fernandez, and then you have Derek Law, who missed all of last year with an injury, but Derek Law's numbers in his career have been outstanding as well.
And then I think you also have Taylor Rashi and John Curtis, who were brought back on those deals as well. There,
you said his name, and he appears. He is John Curtis. By the way, thanks to Ryan Thompson, we now know that John Curtis has an album that you can listen to on Spotify. Go find it right now.
Turn off the lights. John Curtis is singing.
Turn them off. But yeah, I mean, all 4 of these guys have major league experience, and all 4 of these guys could come into camp looking great and earn a roster spot. There is a good chance that, these younger players that were added to the 40-man roster that have options could be optioned to Reno very easily because they just needed to be protected from the Rule 5 draft. And at this point, I do believe moves can be made, and those guys obviously could be added to the major league roster. They've added enough of those guys with major league experience that you feel like 1 or 2 of them should rise above, right? The cream always rises to the top. Oh yeah. And that's a good chance that could happen with someone like Derek Law, someone like Loaizaga. I like both of those guys, and I think there's a really good chance. But again, outside of those guys, you also have a bunch of guys that I like too, that are on the fringe, that are already on the 40-man roster, already part of this roster. Cristian Mena, I think, is going to have a huge year for this team as long as he can stay healthy. And I really think that he is a guy that is kind of a forgotten name because of, not really having a ton of major league experience. And, again, that sample size of his success being very small. But again, Cristian Mena is a guy that's proven to have some great stuff. Also,
I think that's like your 6th starter as of right now, right?
Cristian Mena?
Yeah.
Perhaps him or perhaps Gilbert Diaz right now. I would say both of those guys have the ability to give you a start. They've started in the past.
Is Diaz working out of the pen more?
He is. Yeah, okay. He is working out of the pen.
So I wonder if maybe he's going to be kind of in the spring being kind of placed in that bullpen type of role, seeing if he could beat out one of these guys that you traded for in like Andrew Hoffman, Juan Burgos, those type of guys.
Perhaps.
Whereas I think Mena is like a full-time starter for sure. And I like what I've seen from Cristian Mena. I mean, he looked good last year in the very, very limited time that we saw him. I just think that, he's a guy who has some pretty electric stuff. So I think somebody also ranked him like the most under the radar Dbacks prospect going into 2026 as well. There was like some publication that ranked him that. And I think that's honestly a fair evaluation. This is a guy with starter level stuff that is just not being talked about.
Well, and again, for now, the Diamondbacks have him as a reliever, and with him being back from injury, and again, with how good his stuff is, like, if you're talking about fringe guys that are minor league guys, I feel like he's right there. You're also right, because he does give them a long relief option, which I'm not sure if any of these other names that are in the pen necessarily do. Maybe Taylor Clark does, because he was a starter as well for the Dbacks at one point in his career. But beyond Mena, you have Brandon Garcia, Philip Abner, Juan Burgos, Andrew Hoffman, Juan Murillo, and like I said, Dre Jameson, our favorite guy. These are all guys that are all vying for what feels like maybe 3 spots, right? So you have those guys, those 7 guys that I just named, on top of the 4 minor league deal guys that have major league experience, plus other names. Like, I'm not even covering the Taylor Rashis. I'm not adding John Curtis right now to this list. So there are guys that pitched for the Diamondbacks last year out of the pen that are part of this team, that signed a minor league deal, easily could find their way into this mix. I mean,
I'm shuddering with fear thinking about last year's bullpen.
It's crazy, right? And again,
please God, no.
What's crazy about it is, like, let's just say something wild happens. And again, I don't want to disrespect Ryan Thompson or Kevin Ginkel, but if this bullpen ends up being like Kade Strowd, Taylor Clark, Andrew Saalfrank, Derek Law, Cristian Mena, Dre Jameson, Brandon Garcia, right? Like, that's kind of crazy. I mean, that is almost a completely different bullpen from last year. And we've talked about how much it hasn't been addressed. We talk about how much it hasn't really been something the Diamondbacks have focused on. Yes, they didn't go out and add the guys we wanted them to. They didn't go out and add Pete Fairbanks. They didn't add some of these other higher name relievers. They definitely didn't get Sir Anthony Dominguez, and Damon will never let you forget that. But what they did do is they made some savvy moves that are under the radar, low risk, potential medium to high reward, especially if you got two guys like Andrew Saalfrank and Kade Strowd putting sub 2 ERAs in the pen. Again, and this is all just for them to hopefully make it through the first half of the season until they get reinforcements in the form of Justin Martinez and Puck. I don't hate what they've done. I just have a lot of uncertainty about it. What they have done is create a tremendous amount of competition for all of these guys. As you said, Damon, no spot is secure here. So every single one of these guys, even a Kevin Ginkel and a Ryan Thompson, have to compete fairly strongly in order for them to potentially, outdo some of these newcomers that have been added to the roster.
Yeah, I mean, I think that, there's at least a lot of options, and we've talked about it in the past. Like, you're just throwing darts at a dartboard and hoping that maybe you land on a couple bullseyes.
Got to sift through the dirt to find the diamonds and the gold, right?
And while it feels like maybe this team hasn't necessarily invested all that much in free agency into the bullpen, and for a good reason, because they haven't. Bringing in Jonathan Lasaiga and Taylor Clark and Derek Law isn't necessarily, just adding to the bullpen left and right. But that being said, they've traded for so many bullpen arms, young bullpen arms, trading Gino for him, trading Josh Naylor for him, trading, Merrill Kelly was more for starters, but you still got, back a lot of minor league arms in that deal. I think that, you're just embarking on like, hey, we probably didn't have the money to go out there and sign the top free agent arms out of the pen this offseason, and maybe Mike Hazen was looking one step ahead and saying, what's our next best bet, trading for guys that we've scouted, that we like, and that we can get for, we think, decent value as of right now. So that's what we're going with as an organization is, what are these guys that the Diamondbacks and Mike Hazen traded for going to provide for you in 2026? And it's up to, about 8 dudes to collectively come together and provide just a little bit of resistance out of the pen. We need it. Like oxygen.
Like we asked for. What we need is a mid bullpen. Is that too much to ask for? 17th best bullpen in Major League Baseball.
We go to the World Series.
We had the
18th best bullpen in Major League Baseball, and we literally went to the World Series in 2023. After that, we've had nothing but bottom 10 bullpens. Let's get into the top 15,
and we'll just win the division, and we'll win it all. Well,
society, if the Diamondbacks had a top half bullpen, and it's utopia in the background.
Yeah, it really is. Speaking of utopia, I don't believe we have any more pre-recorded episodes coming up, Damon, but we're going to talk on the other side of this break about Framber Valdez actually signing with the Tigers and not the Pirates, and how pre-recorded episodes work, and why Major League Baseball always wants to make me and Damon look foolish 5 minutes after we've wrapped doing any episode of this show. We're going to talk about it on the other side of this break. Don't you go anywhere. This is the PHNX Diamondback Show. Well, branded bills is taking over the world. Of course, I have been seeing branded bills everywhere. And if you want to check out their amazing collection of hats, head on over to brandedbills.com. You'll find hats for U of A and ASU as part of their campus collection, as well as some amazing Phoenix Suns hats. Got to get some more Diamondbacks hats over there as well. They had one as part of their ticketed golf night last season. So, of course, do not miss out on how great these hats are. And, of course, if you are a business looking to have your brand stand apart from the crowd, look no further than Branded Bills. They got you covered with the best custom headwear that you can find. Contact them, and their team will take care of your order and help you create the exact custom apparel you need, whether you need snapbacks, truckers, fitteds, beanies, or even t-shirts. They have you covered. Branded Bills has you covered with performance and with style. And of course, they are a local company from right here in Mesa, Arizona. Head on over to brandedbills.com and use our code of BBPHNX for 15% off your first order. And everyone needs a checking account, but Mountain America Credit Union wants to give you a checking account with more than just, of course, a place to put your money. They want to give you a checking account with built-in benefits. Mountain America's My Style checking account has perks just for you. You can enjoy restaurant deals, mobile phone protection, telehealth access, loan rate discounts, and so much more over there at Mountain America Credit Union. I've been attending so many events this week that I am exhausted. And of course, Mountain America Credit Union can help you save on those events and travel as well. They also have so many new deals being added all the time to their MyStyle checking account. Make MyStyle for your lifestyle at Mountain America Credit Union. Visit macu.com/MyStyle to apply. Insured by NCUA. Membership is required based on eligibility. Some benefits require no cost registration activation. Terms, conditions, and exclusions do apply. Well, yesterday they had us out at the WM Phoenix Open, by the way. Had a great time out there. Got this sweet Trevor's hat. I know it's Friday, so it's free ad Friday, so I'm allowed to do that. But if you get a chance to go out there, don't miss out on all of the wonderful fun to be had. There's
Julio.
Don Julio. Go check out Don Julio everywhere, because Don Julio is giving away free margaritas and free like $10 Lyft coupons so you can get home safely from the event, or at least park your car somewhere reasonable and don't deal with the mess that is over there at the event itself. But we got some news to talk about, including Damon, some super chats. So let's get to those first. We got our guy Coolbro297 asked, does this mean Lourdes returns very soon in regards to the Diamondbacks trading Blaze Alexander? I don't know.
I think it means more that Jordan Lawler, they feel comfortable and are willing to put a lot of their faith in Jordan Lawler, to be honest with you. And there was immediately a report that Jordan Lawler is going to be taking a lot of those left field ABs with Lourdes Gurriel, on the mend and ready to come back. So I think Jordan Lawler is now the guy out there in left field to start the season.
I can only wonder how much seeing him right now at Salt River Fields playing the outfield, makes a difference. I'm not saying it does. I'm merely speculating here, but the guys have been out there at Salt River Fields training and doing stuff for a while. And I can only imagine that, Mike Hazen goes out, watches what they're doing, has to make decisions, has to factor all of this into their thought process. Perhaps Jordan Lawler just kind of is starting to look good out there as an option. He's going to need to be that super utility role for this team if he wants to have at bat. So again, playing the outfield seems like it's going to have to be part of his game in 2026. Michael Rokicki is already getting ahead of the things a little bit. We're going to talk World Baseball Classic rosters here soon. But Michael says, trading Blaze is not nearly as bad as no Perdomo World Baseball Classic jersey. That is violence against Damon.
Let me just add, when Michael added me on Twitter about this, I immediately went to go check. They don't have like individual Perdomo jerseys that they're selling, like they have Juan Soto pre-made and Tatis pre-made and stuff like that, but you can get the customized option and select Perdomo too.
Did this man
buy this jersey?
Did this man not have over 100 RBI last year?
He did, but you could, for $20 more, you can get a Perdomo jersey. It's just not going to be one of those pre-made options.
Honestly, you should pay $20 more for a Perdomo jersey.
If anybody wants to start, a little diehard GoFundMe to get your boy, who happens to be making the first big boy purchase of his life right now and doesn't exactly have an extra $200 to spare for a Geraldo Perdomo jersey, feel free to. Let's get a crew together in the diehard chat. Let's get 20 folks willing to donate $10 and let's get Damon a Perdomo jersey. Shameless begging out of me right there.
That's crazy, but somehow I got a Mayor Serpientes jersey from these fine folks, so I wouldn't be surprised if it works out for you. Also, Michael wants us to all wish the ginger goat himself, Paven Smith, a happy birthday. Happy birthday, Paven. Coolbro297 also wanted to let me know if that food analogy I put in is good. Coolbro said, trading Blaze is like replacing some protein you eat in your diet for other stuff like fiber, vegetables for a more well-rounded diet. I mean, yeah, that's probably fair, but I will say that Blaze is more than a protein. Blaze has so much more to offer. Blaze is not a snack. Blaze is a whole damn meal. Let's not forget that. Speaking of whole damn meals, Framber Valdez goes to the Tigers, and I did want to address that yesterday after the trade or the move had been made. We had it on our podcast that we recorded on Wednesday night. That is because I was very sleepy coming back from LA, but I also had to go out to the Phoenix Open yesterday, the People's Open. They needed the mayor out there, and in order to do that, we had to pre-record the episode. As you know, whenever we talk about a move on this podcast, like the Mackenzie Gore trade or anything like that, it has to happen and it has to be different and it has to go down like 10 minutes after we record, which is what happened with the Framber Valdez move to the Tigers. He signs a 3-year contract with Detroit worth $115 million. Pending physical, he can opt out after the 2027 season, which is a big plus for Valdez, considering that he could still be very good at that point and could still get himself a long-term, even higher AAV when it comes to that. But at about $38.3 million per year, it is the highest average annual value for a left-handed pitcher in Major League Baseball history. It's also the highest AAV for a Latin American player. So thank you for doing it for mi gente, Valdez. But again, this is a guy that sat on the market for a few reasons. We talked about the reputational thing with him crossing up his catcher. There was also the draft pick, the compensatory draft pick tied to Valdez, which the Tigers will have to give up in order to sign him. So, but he does become part of one of the American League's deepest rotation instantly. We talked about the Boston Red Sox having an incredibly good rotation. And now you have this guy who has, World Series experience and pedigree joining Tarik Skubal as one of the best 1-2 punches in all of baseball. Not even a 1-2, 1A, 1B. So again, this is a little crazy overall on what they did. Things drop off a little bit from there. Jack Flaherty, veteran third starter. So I still think that they have a good 1-2-3. And then out of that, got homegrown option in Casey Mize, who rebounded in 2025 and had himself a good season, dependable piece in the rotation, as well as Reese Olson, which is likely their 5th starter. The Tigers could still also maybe go in on available free agent Zach Gallen if they just wanted to say screw it and give up all of their draft picks. I don't even know if they could do that with the compensatory situation, considering they would have to give up 2 for him. But overall, again, the Tigers luckily keep Framber Valdez in the American League and away from the National League. We talked yesterday about, the Pirates obviously getting better. Should they add him? They would have had one of the most formidable 1-2 punches in all of baseball, and they could have had one of the best rotations. But again, now he goes to the AL. So thank God for that. Meanwhile, overall, Tarik Skubal on the other side of things, the 1A there in the 1A, 1B, he wins his arbitration case, Damon. So he went to the ballroom and he got the job done. Tarik Skubal awarded $32 million for 2026. The arbitration panel did decide to go with his number over the Tigers or like a mediation amount. It is the highest arbitration salary in Major League Baseball history. So they now have the highest left-handed pitcher AAV, highest Latin American player AAV, and highest arbitration AAV in history. Skubal compares to the best on the free agent market due to his service time and his numerous accomplishments, including his 2 Cy Young awards. I don't know how the Tigers thought they were going to go into this and win, right? Like, he's arguably, not even arguably, like he is statistically, categorically the best pitcher in Major League Baseball, at least in the American League. And you didn't have a hope there. He gets a huge raise from the $10.15 million that he was making last year, and it sets up a potential massive free agent deal for him when he inevitably signs with the Los Angeles Dodgers. And again, Tigers, they're making moves, and it feels like there's a lot of competition once again happening in the American League, and I'm fine with it. As Torrey once said, I'm tired of the best talent coming to the National League West, and now that is staying out of this division and out of the National League, thus not making it any harder for the Diamondbacks to get in on that wild card spot. But Damon, overall, what are your thoughts on pre-recorded episodes?
Thoughts on pre-recorded episodes?
No more of those, right? We don't do any more of those after this. We've learned our lesson.
I don't know. I don't really care. People can deal with it. My thoughts are more related to what Jacob is talking about in the chat, and that I was really rooting against the Tigers to sign any sort of high-level pitcher this offseason.
Because it's a replacement for Tarik Skubal,
because I think
when he leaves their team.
As I've said to our guy Noah Wolbricht, who is a Tigers fan who works here at PHNX, I think that this is just a move to say, hey guys, look, we are trying as we trade Skubal next year. Because they're trying to build up some goodwill, have 1 year of rotation where it's maybe the best 1-2 in the sport, and then next year they'll be like, what do you mean? We already have our number one. He makes less than Skubal. His name is Framber Valdez, and we traded Skubal kind of like how the Diamondbacks were thinking about trading Ketel Marte for a haul that gets them a big package of players that they can then say to their fan base, well, look, we upgraded at 3 positions rather than just having one of these guys who's such a superstar.
And they can ultimately still do that at the trade deadline, right? Like there's
no doubt. They probably will.
But
ultimately what it leads to is Tarik Skubal being a Los Angeles Dodger.
Yeah, I know.
We all know it.
Yeah.
It's time to stop beating around the bush. This is horrible for baseball. Framber Valdez signing with the Tigers is an absolute disaster because it is a domino effect and a butterfly effect that will lead to what we all are rooting against, and that is Skubal going to the new evil empire.
Way to stay positive on a Friday.
That's just the facts.
Yeah.
We've already
Jacob
been told.
wants back in. Look at Jacob wants back in. Does he not know? Did he not hear about the paella? Does he not remember? Anyway, that's all the thing.
We know somebody who is friends with Tarik Skubal, who trains with Tarik Skubal, and we have been told that the Dodgers are coming.
Oh, it's inevitable.
The
only thing that can stop it now is
inside baseball. There, little sources action.
Collective bargaining agreement. CBA. Blue Baw in the chat says terrible take on this trade. Lawler is a bust. Blaze was and will be a better player at the end of each player's career. That's a weird way to take that. I don't know if you. I don't think at any point were we saying
words that were said.
Right? Yeah, like. Blaze, it wasn't Blaze or Lawler. Lawler's value wasn't high enough to get a return like this, and they decided to trade the player that had value that they saw as being expendable at this point of his career.
I disagree with what you said. I think Lawler absolutely has more value than Blaze still. I just think that you would be selling so low on Lawler based off of what you could have got for him a year and a half ago,
That's
where it just doesn't really make sense to do that. You like selling high on players and buying low,
100%.
Not the opposite. And doing a Jordan Lawler trade right now would be selling at the absolute lowest value. Now, some people might say this is the last time he'll ever have value because he's so bad that he's going to go out there and play like crap again, and then all of a sudden now he has zero value forever until the rest of time. That might be true, but I don't think the Diamondbacks feel that way, and that's why they're going to invest more into Jordan Lawler and give him the opportunity to build that value back up.
Sorry to cut you off. I was going to say what you could also say that about Blaze as well. There is a good chance that based on Blaze's trajectory over the 2025 season that he could be more of this 233 hitter than he was when he was hitting close to 300, right? So
absolutely, yeah. I think Blaze is a guy that Derek and I both love. We think he brings great vibes to the table at the minimum. His defense showed vast improvements last season. He had some crazy flashes in the outfield.
Cannon of an arm.
When he really didn't have much opportunity in the outfield at any point of his career thus far. Like, we were excited to watch Blaze this year. I also think that, if Kade Strowd becomes one of the better bullpen arms that you got, maybe this was the right move. Now, I don't know that Derek and I are up here saying that Lawler is better than Blaze Alexander because he has not proven that yet in his career. I think he has potential to be better than Blaze Alexander, and I think everybody pretty much agrees with that. But a lot is riding on Jordan Lawler in this next season. I've said that for a few shows now in a row, but for me, it's Alec, it's Pavin, it's Jordan Lawler. What can these three guys who have shown flashes of maybe being good at times, mostly have been really, really inconsistent at the plate? Mm-hmm. They're going to be given a lot of ABs next year. What can those three guys do with those ABs next season? I think that's going to make or break the Diamondbacks.
I agree with that. But, again, this kind of goes back to the Jake McCarthy, Alec Thomas discussion, right? I mean, if you're asking us, Alec Thomas had more value, and Alec Thomas was the player we would have preferred to keep. However, based on trades, it's Jake McCarthy's value was low. They still got something for him, but it felt like it was more of a clearing of a roster spot so that they could make the Arenado, move the trade for Arenado rather than necessarily, getting much back for Jake McCarthy, right? Mm-hmm. So, but yeah, overall, it's weird because it's going to be tied to these two guys, despite the fact that we never know if it was ever down to Jordan Lawler or Blaze Alexander. It might have just been the fact that they liked the trade with Baltimore, and Baltimore liked Blaze, and it made sense to improve this organization overall. But
Hazen typically does well when he does these like major league for major league swaps instead of, guys in the minors. Like if you're, and I think that this maybe was bordering on more on the minor level, but like when he traded Jazz for Zach Gallen, I think Jazz is a good player. Don't get me wrong, but that was a good trade for the Diamondbacks. Like you got a frontline arm for a second baseman when you already had Ketel Marte on your team.
Yeah.
You look at, like even the Varsho trade, like it looks good for the Blue Jays now, but at first we were like, holy crap, what an absolute fleece job by Mike Hazen.
Yeah.
And you get two players that were starters on a World Series team. And so I think that generally when you're making these trades, Mike Hazen is where you're trading away a guy of value that's at the major league level for another guy at the major league level. It's worked out for us in some circumstance of like that player that we traded for was helpful to the team. So hopefully Kade Strowd kind of fits into that because this team needs bullpen help so bad that obviously if you were asked, Eric, would you rather have a super utility middle infielder option that could maybe bounce in the left field and be like your 10th starter, or would you rather have a guy that, is going to be a middle rotation bullpen arm and is going to give you around a low 3s ERA? Which one are you taking?
There's no question about that. I'd take the reliever, but again, with this, it's more about Blaze's development and his potential, his future, what he could turn into. I think we've seen him grow as a major leaguer, and I think that he kind of reminds me of Corbin Carroll, where I don't really see this being like something that kind of fizzles out. I think he's going to continue to get better. I don't know if the situation in Baltimore is the best for him. I don't know. Like I said, I don't think it's as good of an opportunity for him as a player as it was here for the Diamondbacks, because I feel like he's going to be relegated to a backup role. Whereas with this team, he could have easily earned playing time if he played well. Where I don't know if he's going to get the at-bats he needs to play well, nor do I know if even if he does play well enough, if it's going to be enough to usurp some of those names that they have as a part of that roster. But there are a lot of names on the World Baseball Classic roster, Damon, and a lot of Diamondbacks on your Dominicana team, by the way. But first, we did want to tell you guys that this is Super Bowl week. Our guys are out there on Radio Row, working their butts off, doing a great job. Johnny's meeting CM Punk. He met Phil, Damon. I'm so jealous.
Johnny just met the Mountain right now.
He just met the Mountain?
He met the Mountain.
He met the Mountain. That's amazing. Well,
think about that visual.
I need a picture of that. But of course, make sure you guys take this opportunity to sign up for our Die Hard membership. We have a sale going on right now, and you can get down on a 60% off deal. That's right, $32 for your first year, which is regularly priced at $79.99. And of course, this is to get down on Super Bowl and all of this excitement we're going to have. Baseball season is kicking off. It's a great time to join us, become a diehard. You get that free shirt. You get access to our Discord lounge. So do not miss out on this huge sale. 60% off diehard memberships going on right now, and it is for a limited time, so do not miss out. Damon, yesterday we had the finalization of the World Baseball Classic rosters. The Diamondbacks have 13 players participating in the World Baseball Classic, which I thought was a lot until I realized, counting it up, that the Diamondbacks have the 8th most players in the WBC.
Wow.
At 13. The Mets have the most, with 17 players participating in the World Baseball Classic. The Diamondbacks also have hitting coordinator Brad Marcialino, who will be managing and coaching the Great Britain team that will feature Christian Robinson as a part of that team, Damon. That was kind of cool to see. Meanwhile, we know Corbin Carroll, outfielder for Team USA, Ketel Marte, Perdomo, and Carlos Santana, all playing for Damon's team Dominican Republic. Eduardo Rodriguez will pitch for Team Venezuela. It appears that Gabby will not participate in the World Baseball Classic. Nolan Arenado will be the third baseman for Team Puerto Rico, who is in some trouble, Damon. Team Puerto Rico, they're in trouble. Team Mexico will feature Alec Thomas. And then on Team Canada, we have Michael Soroka and Indigo Diaz, who is representing the Diamondbacks organization. Team Netherlands has Drew Jones and Jatween Kelly, a right-handed pitcher from the Diamondbacks organization. Yumin Lin will be pitching for Chinese Taipei, and Christian Robinson will represent the Diamondbacks on the
Taiwan,
on the UK team. Taiwan. Excuse me, Taiwan. The World Baseball Classic decides the name.
I'm making a stand, Derek. I'm making a stand, Derek.
I'm not trying to get political.
You can
here,
do whatever
okay?
you want. I'm making my
keep
stand.
Your global politics out of my World Baseball
I've
Classic.
planted my flag now in this debate. So take it for what it's worth.
All right. Well,
if someone wants to, Chinese Communist Party me, that's fine.
Yeah.
I'm taking side of Taiwan.
All right. Well,
you me.
I will say this right now: 78 players. A lot of players, Damon. A lot of players participating in World Baseball Classic. I think that truly is going to make not players. Excuse me. 78 all-stars. 78 Major League Baseball all-stars are taking part in the World Baseball Classic. Not just 78 World Baseball players in general. 78 all-stars. It's the most star-studded lineup in World Baseball Classic history. We know Team USA is crazy with Aaron Judge as their captain. You got Bryce Harper, Paul Goldschmidt been added to Team USA, Bobby Witt Jr.
He has?
Yes, Paul Goldschmidt is part of Team USA. Corbin Carroll, Pete Crow Armstrong, Brian Buxton in the outfield and depth, Cal Raleigh, Will Smith behind the plate, Gunnar Henderson, Alex Bregman, Bryce Terang, Ernie Clement for infield depth. Rotation anchors feature Paul Skeens, Tarik Skubal, and then, of course,
we need Will Smith on the bench. Is what I just heard there.
Clayton Kershaw on the starting rotation there. Team Japan.
Thank God.
Team Japan features Shohei Ohtani, Seiya Suzuki, Monotaka Murakami, Yoshinobu Yamamoto, and Masataka Yoshida, all on Team Japan. And then Manny Machado, Vladimir Guerrero Jr., Juan Soto, Dominicana. Damon, do you care to comment on your dangerous?
Ketel Marte, Geraldo Perdomo. Yeah. I mean, the list goes on and on and on with superstars in the DR. But hey, we're just gonna play our game of baseball. We're gonna go out there and we're gonna win this damn thing.
Venezuela's got some representation. Ronald Acuna Jr., Salvador Perez, Jackson Churio on that team. Meanwhile, like I said, Team Puerto Rico.
No Gabby on that team, right?
No Gabby on that team. No Gabby.
Like I said, that might be the one guy I was kind of like, maybe we don't play the
okay
WBC Gabby, just because he's had struggles with playing an entire season. I don't feel like giving him an extra 10 games of baseball before the year would be all that beneficial to one Gabriel Moreno. But I did find the Drew Jones move interesting, Derek, and I don't know if this is going to be how it plays out, but I saw a mock roster of the mock starting 9 of the Netherlands team, and Drew Jones was in the starting lineup. I think it was 7-8 MLB players, and then Drew Jones was the de facto other outfield option. I think Andrew Jones is somewhat associated, if not in charge of the entire roster. So I don't know if that factors into maybe giving his son a little bit more playing time or something.
Christian Robinson is starting in center field for Great Britain. I'm not going to act like Britain has an incredible roster, but he's starting in center field according, like you said, to the initial roster. That's pretty cool. Information.
I mean, I'd love to see. I was just going to say, I think this could be good for Drew Jones. Being around guys like Jerks and Profar, Xander Bogaerts. They have good players on that Netherlands team.
Completely agree.
Get him some high-level ABs against some really good pitchers, and let's let him get a little bit more acclimated to playing this level. Now, he's in high A. It's not like he's at the highest level right now, but I would love to see what Drew Jones can do in this tournament. I think it's going to be a lot of fun to watch that guy in particular. Don't even need him to put up crazy numbers, but if he can just show competence, if he can hit in the 200s, I'm pumped. I'm pumped about Drew Jones.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, honestly, this is great experience because it's real baseball. It's competitive.
Exactly.
It's high leverage, and it's representing your country. So it feels like it feels perhaps even more important than regular season games in May. So I think that's going to be good for having 13 guys that are out there competing like this early. Not great for spring training, right? Because it means that we're going to be missing a lot of these guys out at Salt River Fields, guys that really didn't need necessarily to play for the Diamondbacks and on the spring training team, right? Like Ketel, Perdomo, Corbin. It's just one of the things we like to see. We know we're only going to get 1 to 2 innings out of those guys when we go out to watch spring training games, but obviously the stretch at least from March 5th through March 17th where the World Baseball Classic will be taking place will feature a lot less of the stars that we're accustomed to seeing out there, but still should be fun times. Weather's beautiful. We're very blessed to be in this state. Don't forget, it's baseball nirvana. But again, World Baseball Classic runs March 5th through March 17th.
Can't wait.
Pool play across San Juan, Puerto Rico, Houston, Texas, Tokyo, Japan, and Miami, Florida, with the finals being there in Miami.
Derek and I will do some extra content over here on the channel on PHNX Sports when that thing rolls around. Maybe,
for sure.
Maybe a watch along, maybe some extra diehard content, Derek, maybe a little audio only stuff. So yeah, be on the lookout for all of that. Can't wait for the World Baseball Classic to roll into town. Can't wait to root on my tiny prideful island that is in the Dominican Republic.
I mean, I've already won the Super Bowl because Benito is performing at the halftime show, but that's a whole other thing for us Puerto Ricans over here. But
speaking of Puerto Rico, I mean, Javi Baez, what's going on with your guy?
Ineligible due to World Baseball Classic suspension.
We're still testing players for weed in the Big 26.
Come
Derek?
on!
Are you serious?
What are we doing
in the Big 26?
I feel like I'm under attack. Also,
I mean, a Puerto Rican guy just got arrested for marijuana, Derek. I'd say it is 100% a personal attack against you.
It is. Also, no Francisco Lindor, no Carlos Correa. So
wait, what happened there?
They just
they opted out.
Availability issues have affected those guys, Damon.
Ooh,
availability
Derek.
Issues.
I'm not feeling good about the PR's chances.
Look, you should never feel good about our chances. It doesn't mean we still won't be out there trying our hardest and doing everything we can and still competing.
It's just if Lindor's going to sit out, then what's going on?
Yeah.
That's our guy.
And we want to criticize Nolan Arenado. This guy's trying to go out there and save the island single-handedly. I don't understand what we're doing here. Leave my guy alone. But again, we thank you guys so much for being here. We love you. We appreciate your time. We will see you back here on Monday. A little programming note for next week. We are going to be changing times due to media availability out there at spring training, at least for the first week with pitchers and catchers reporting. Tori Lavallo is taking over the 12 p.m. time slot, apparently. So we're going to find another time to do this show.
You got to say something to him, Derek.
Yeah.
Hey, Tori, what were we going to talk about? You just doing your availability at the time of our show?
Why can't he do the availability on this show? Like, he could just talk on this show.
That would
get
be
the
huge.
other reporters to send in super chats and such. I think it makes a lot of sense.
Steve Gilbert, $5.
Yeah, we got a super chat here, Tori, from Steve Gilbert. Steve says, who are you feeling on opening day? That's the first question Steve's going to ask.
We're just racking in cash just so, Baseball Writers Association, members can get their questions across.
They got that sweet, sweet baseball writer money. You know that, David. We got to get into that. So anyway, we'll be back here, though, at 12 p.m. on Monday. We are doing 12 p.m. on Monday because, of course, for a fact that it's Mailbag Monday, and we do that every Monday. So we'll be here for that, but then Pitchers and Catchers report on Tuesday. So I believe we'll be going around 4 p.m. once we get our studio situation fixed out. We will have an update for you on our time for next week on Monday. But before we get out of here, we got one more super chat from Cool Bro. Thank you so much, Cool Bro, for your super chats. He says, Derek, what heel faction are Dodgers? He asks the Bloodline. Now, here's the thing. What he's referring to is groups in pro wrestling, Damon. There's safety in numbers when you're in pro wrestling. So you typically have to find some friends, group together, call yourself something cool, and then, again, try to beat up other teams that have lesser numbers than you. Very, very poignant when you're talking about heel factions in pro wrestling, because they do typically try to do the numbers game. And while the Bloodline is a very good comparison, the Bloodline is family. The Bloodline is a strong family of Samoans who are related and have years of knowing each other. That is not the Dodgers. The Dodgers are out here acquiring high-priced free agents.
Way too cool to be the Dodgers.
Yeah, the Bloodline, there is no Roman Reigns on the Bloodline. There is no head of the table. I will not acknowledge anybody on the Dodgers. But what I will acknowledge is that the Los Angeles Dodgers, as far as heel factions in pro wrestling, are the corporate ministry. At one time, there was a dark faction that was led by The Undertaker of a bunch of creepy guys. And then there was the corporation led by Vince McMahon and his money as the owner of WWE, which seemed very unfair at the time, right? But he couldn't overcome the Dodgers here, the Vince McMahon in this scenario, couldn't overcome Stone Cold Steve Austin, a sole protagonist, a true anti-hero that came in out of nowhere and kicked the ever-living crap out of Vince McMahon. That would be the Diamondbacks in the 2023 playoff run. They are Stone Cold Steve Austin in this scenario. So again, it wasn't enough. He couldn't, they needed more. So they merged together with the Ministry, bringing over Undertaker and Kane as part of their, team. Two of the biggest guys, two of the meanest guys in pro wrestling. You could say that was Freddie Freeman and Shohei Ohtani, maybe Mookie Betts. I don't know who the first move there was, but regardless, that is who the Dodgers are, the corporate ministry.
That checks out. I mean, that all checks out.
Yeah, good. I'm glad everybody in the chat agrees.
Derek, there are about two things I hate in this world more than anything, and this is a damn fact.
I know one of them is my pro wrestling analogies.
No, because I actually like that pro wrestling analogy. Good. It is the bigwigs at the top of corporations and the Los Angeles Dodgers. Yeah. Those are genuinely, I'm not even kidding with you right now. Those are my two least favorite factions of human beings that exist in this country, on planet Earth. And so comparing them together and putting them in one little pool, cinema. Yeah. I mean, that works for me. I'm all for it.
Yeah. Katie says wrestling is boy soap operas. 100% facts, Katie. 100% facts. But does your soap opera have someone doing a tope suicida over the top ropes into the crowd? No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. That's all. Anyway, we thank you guys. We love you guys for your time. We will be back, like I said, on Monday at 12 p.m. Until then, you can follow us on Twitter. I am at @cap_caveman with a K. Damon is at Damon Dog with a DAWG at the end. And we're all Damon's dogs. Bark, bark. Our show is at PHNX_Dbacks, but as always, all roads lead to @PHNX_sports on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. We love you guys. We thank you so much for your questions and your time. We will see you on Monday. Until then, have yourselves a fantastic weekend. Get out there, enjoy this beautiful weather that we have. Go watch some golf and behave yourselves, most importantly, while you're out there, right? That's a big point. But remember, kids, baseball is fun, but it's so much more fun when you know that the Diamondbacks can stomp a mud hole in the Dodgers' ass and walk it dry.
We all silly like the mayor.